Pretty much all of us were down big time after Vikings hit its final season last year, which some people may call a little bit of a disappointment. But thankfully, there's a spin-off show, Vikings Valhalla, coming soon to Netflix, and it seems even more exciting than the original. Today, we'll be looking into the Vikings Valhalla cast and all the new details revealed about the show. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. First off, the cast and their characters. The cast of Vikings Valhalla consists of some interesting people you might not have heard of before, since Netflix decided to cast Scandinavian actors, actual Vikings, as well as some English actors for the majority of the cast, and their characters are just as interesting. The main character on the show will be Leif Erikson, portrayed by Sam Corlett, who was the first European to arrive on North American soil. We're expected to follow his incredible story and how he made it to America 1,000 years before even Columbus did. Some other members of the cast include Frida Gustavsson, a Swedish actress who will play Fredis, Erik's daughter, on the show a traditional religious Viking with a strong belief in old gods and paganism and a fierce opposition to Christianity and England. Leo Suter, who will play Harald Sigurdsson, a noble Viking king from the present-day Norway, who will play an instrumental role in bridging the gap between followers of Odin and Christianity. Bradley Freegard, who will play King Canute, the ruthless king of Denmark, who would end up becoming one of the defining figures in Europe. Laura Berlin will play Emma Normandy, one of the richest women in Europe at the time. There will also be many other characters featured on the show, with all of their own unique stories. Most of the cast is based on real-life historical figures. We don't really know how fictionalized their stories will be, but considering we don't have the best accounts of people from that time, it's bound to have a little bit of Hollywood magic. Regardless, most of the cast have had solid performances on other shows and movies, and we don't expect this one to be any different. Next up, what's the story? Over the past few months, we've gotten to know more details about the story of this show, and we couldn't be more excited. The show takes place around 100 years after the end of the original Vikings show, and it's going to be either loosely based on the events of Europe towards the end of the Viking Age and their conquest towards England. Expect all the major wars and battles from this era to be covered on the show, aided by the amazing writing we're used to with Vikings and the massive budget Netflix is giving the show, which is expected to be in the hundreds of millions. Apparently, the show takes place after the death of a powerful English king, after which 3 lords lay their claim on the English throne. So aside from all the Viking stuff, we might also see some Game of Thrones action take place on the show. Another question many fans have is, will it be linked to the original? Fans of the original are begging to see some of the characters we already know and love on the screen again, but will it happen? Unlike some of the other cancelled shows picked up by Netflix, Vikings Valhalla is not a sequel to the original Vikings, but simply a spin-off. However, the show takes place in the same universe as the original, but enough time has passed that you don't have to watch the original show to understand what's going on. It's being written by the same people as the original show, and will even feature some of the characters from it as well, especially the more supernatural characters, such as the Seer. Alexander Ludwig has also hinted that he wants to appear in Vikings Valhalla as well, but we're not quite sure how that would take place. The team behind Vikings Valhalla. A show can only be as good as the team behind it. Thankfully, with Vikings Valhalla, there seems to be a pretty solid team dedicated to the show. The original creator and writer of the Vikings show, Michael Hurst, will be making a comeback on Vikings Valhalla, along with Jeb Stuart as the other main writer. We can expect this show to be a lot more story-driven rather than action-driven, although there will be a lot of action as well, and Netflix has scouted some pretty big names to direct some of its episodes. Among the directors is Steve St. Ledger, whom we all know from his work on the original series. He'll be mainly there to make sure the show has the same feel as the original. Aside from him, there will be Niels Arden Oplev, who's directed numerous episodes for hit shows such as Mr. Robot and Under the Dome. Hannah Quinn is also confirmed to be directing at least one episode, and she has worked on many Netflix originals such as Fate, The Winx Club, and Stranger. We will also see the incredible music that was almost universally loved in the first Viking series to be returned, as Trevor Morris, the composer for the original Viking series, will also be making a comeback on this show. Behind the scenes at Vikings Valhalla, with the show still under production, we'll have to make do with some of the behind-the-scenes sneak peeks we've gotten from the Vikings cast so far, and it already looks incredible. Production on the show began sometime in early 2020, but unfortunately, it was brought to a quick halt due to the pandemic. A show like this requires a lot of extras, and that was simply not possible under the strict lockdown conditions. Filming was finally resumed in July of 2020 in Ashford Studios, Ireland, and some of the pictures that were leaked from the set, you can see a hint of what the show might look like. Some of these pictures include details about the new Vikings village that has been built for the show, as well as the costumes and armor we can expect to see. They really seem to have perfected the essence of a Viking village over the years, and there were even a few Viking ships seen docked at the coast near the set. Unfortunately, filming still isn't done, and as of March 2021 is halted yet again after several members of the cast tested positive for COVID-19. It's now unclear when the filming is expected to resume. So when is Vikings Valhalla going to come out? With all of these amazing details about Vikings Valhalla coming out, we can't wait to see the show itself, but when will we? And that's the question we don't know yet. If everything had gone smoothly, we would have seen the season be aired on Netflix by late 2021. But with COVID ruining everything for us, we'll probably have to wait until 2022 or even 2023 as things start to normalize. You have to remember that filming is just a small part of the overall production process, and post-production can take just as long, if not longer, than the filming itself. The first season of the show is expected to have 12 episodes, which is half of the 24 episodes Netflix has ordered for the show. This is unusually long for a Netflix show, but it goes to show what this project means to the platform. With shows like Game of Thrones gone, Netflix is putting its bets behind Vikings Valhalla to be the next big show, and they might just be able to pull it off. What does Valhalla mean? This is probably what a lot of you were thinking from the very first time you heard the name of the show. So what exactly does it mean, and how does it relate to the overall story of Vikings Valhalla? Valhalla is similar to heaven or hell in Norse mythology. It's a huge hall where only half of those who die in combat go after they die, and they are handpicked by the Norse god Odin. There, these dead combatants will help Odin fight another battle in the afterlife. The name might be an indication that we may see parts of the afterlife on Vikings Valhalla itself, and would also give some of the characters from the original show to make an appearance on the new one. Since the original show ended off with a massive battle in the real world, Vikings Valhalla might just end off with a massive battle in the afterlife. Will it be any good? And finally, with so much hype around this new series, one thing everyone had in their minds is, will it be any good? There's no right answer to this, as many fans were disappointed by some of the previous seasons of the original show. Don't get us wrong, the original was a great show, which is why it had such a dedicated following, but there was always something lacking. With Vikings Valhalla, Netflix is giving the project one of its biggest budgets to date. Although the exact amount is unknown, Netflix is also known to let showrunners have unprecedented artistic freedom, especially when compared to cable TV networks, such as the History Channel, where the original show was aired. That, combined with the amazing cast, premise, as well as team behind the show, is bound to make this show not just good, but better than the original ever was. We'll just have to wait and see what the results will be. And with that, it's a wrap for this video. See you next time.